They say the desert doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care if you're a brother, a father, or a 22-year-old female Marine from Ohio. It just takes. And on a moonless night in November, at a lonely outpost called Firebase Echo, it took more than I ever thought I had to give. My name is Corporal Sarah Jenkins, United States Marine Corps, and this is the story of the longest night of my life. HESCO barriers and a few dozen Marines holding a line that most of the world forgot about. We were a tight family. You have to be when the nearest backup is 50 clicks away. My squad leader was Staff Sergeant Elias Vance. He was a lifer, rough around the edges, with a thick Texas drawl and a heart the size of a Humvee. He used to call me Kid, even though I could outshoot him on the M240B machine gun. "Keep your head down, kid," he'd say, tossing me a lukewarm MRE. We all got to make it back for Thanksgiving. We were supposed to rotate out in 3 days. 3 days. That's the cruelest joke the universe can play on a Marine. It started at 0200 hours. The air was dead still. No wind, no crickets, just an eerie, suffocating silence. I was on the perimeter watch, staring through my night vision goggles into a sea of green static. Then, a sharp, metallic click echoed from the ridgeline. Before I could even key my radio, the sky tore open. "Incoming! Get down!" The first mortar shell hit near the motor pool, sending a shock wave that threw me against the sandbags. My ears were ringing, a high-pitched whine drowning out the world. The dark night erupted into blinding flashes of orange and yellow. "Contact front!" Someone screamed. Multiple dismounts. I scrambled to my feet, tasting blood and dust, and grabbed my rifle. They were coming from all sides. Hundreds of tracers cut through the darkness like angry hornets. The base was under a massive, coordinated assault. "Jenkins, put suppressing fire on that ridge!" Sergeant Vance yelled, grabbing my shoulder and pushing me toward the heavy gun emplacement. I didn't think. Training takes over. You don't feel the fear. You just feel the recoil. I squeezed the trigger of the M240, sending a stream of lead into the dark. Shell casings rained down on my boots, hot and metallic. For an hour it was pure, unadulterated hell. The smell of cordite, burning rubber, and copper filled the air. We were holding them back, but we were running low on ammo. "Broken arrow!" The radio man was shouting frantically into his comms. "Any station this net, Firebase Echo, is taking heavy fire. We need immediate air support. Danger close." Then, the unthinkable happened. The perimeter wall on the eastern flank gave way. A rocket-propelled grenade shattered the barrier, and a swarm of fighters breached the wire. "They're inside!" I unmounted my rifle and drew my sidearm, firing into the shadows. That's when I saw him. Private Miller. He was 19, fresh out of boot camp, paralyzed by the sheer terror of it all. He was pinned behind a crumbled wall, completely exposed to the crossfire. "Miller, move!" Sergeant Vance roared over the gunfire. But Miller couldn't move. He was frozen. Without hesitating, Vance broke from his cover. He sprinted across the open courtyard, rounds kicking up dirt all around his boots. "Vance, no!" I screamed. He reached Miller, grabbing him by the plate carrier and throwing him toward the medical tent. "Go, go, go!" Vance yelled. Miller scrambled to safety. But Vance didn't make it. I saw the impact before I heard the shot. He stumbled, falling hard into the unforgiving dirt. Time stopped. The explosions, the screaming, the radio chatter, it all faded into a dull hum. I dropped my weapon and ran. I don't know how I didn't get hit. I just ran to him. I slid into the dirt beside him, grabbing his vest, pulling him behind a wrecked transport truck. "Doc, we need a medic! Medic!" I screamed until my throat tore. Vance was breathing heavy. I put my hands over the wound, feeling the warm, sticky blood slipping through my fingers. "Too much blood! Hold on, Sergeant. You're going home. You hear me? We're going home for Thanksgiving," I choked out, tears finally cutting tracks through the grime on my face. He looked up at me. His eyes, usually so fierce, were entirely calm. He weakly reached up, his rough, calloused hand gripping my wrist. "You did good, kid," he whispered. His voice was barely a breath. "You hold the line." And then his grip loosened. The Texas drawl, the tough love, the heart of our squad was gone. I sat there in the dirt, holding my sergeant, as the roar of an A-10 Warthog finally ripped through the sky above us. The cavalry had arrived. The earth shook as the gunship rained fire down on the enemy positions outside the wire. The attack broke. The silence that followed was heavier than the gunfire. The next morning, the sun rose over Firebase Echo. It illuminated the destruction, the smoking craters, and the physical toll of what we had survived. The Dustoff chopper arrived an hour later. We loaded the wounded, and then we loaded the fallen. 6 Marines stood at attention as Sergeant Vance's body, draped in an American flag, was carried up the ramp. We didn't salute with our hands. We saluted with our souls. I stood there, covered in dirt, sweat, and his blood. I felt a piece of my heart board that helicopter with him. People ask me what it means to be a Marine. They think it's about the guns, the uniform, or the medals. But it's not. Video created by Sub-81M Rock, it's about the man or woman standing to your left and your right. It's about knowing that when the dark closes in, you are not alone. It's about a staff sergeant who gave everything so a 19-year-old kid could go home to his mother. I carry Vance with me every single day. Every time I lace up my boots, every time I see the stars and stripes waving in the wind, I remember the dust of Firebase Echo. We held the line, Sergeant. We held the line, Semper Fidelis.